what are the limitations or weaknesses that have to be mitigated? I mean, we're all in love with social media. We know all the good stuff about it. So, what do we need to mitigate? And let's keep in mind Wadel's reminder about our experiences and examples also from the local level.
As I said earlier, there are only so many of us engaged, and let's say when come election time, maybe the more informed among us, that 20-25%, who may know more than those who are not engaged, may not be enough to change things. Okay, so during elections, the local political machineries will still be the determining things, and social media can only do so much. So maybe government has to be reminded of the need to expand the infrastructure. The services should be better, and our schools. I think the schools have that responsibility to teach our children how to use social media properly. I know for a fact that our public schools aren't that wired yet, but it should start somewhere, and it can be done. Many of our public school students, at least in the urban areas, I know after class, many of them just go to these coffee shops and use the use social media mainly for gaming. Okay, and then I think we have to do something about that, and many of our students are in fact better at social media than their teachers now.
Or their parents.
Or their parents.
Ah,
So
wow.
how can we therefore guide the students if they're way ahead of us?
That's true. So the teachers who don't touch a computer, your
Yes.
colleagues, they must touch that machine and get to know it. But you also said something that I think is an important self-criticism or check to us, the 25%, not to develop a new kind of elitism. I mean, if there are economic elites, there could conceivably be information elites who think that we know more or we know better than the 75% who are not online. But how do we bridge these pools of knowledge and wisdom and values? Like earlier, Peyton, we were talking about linking social media platforms with traditional platforms to facilitate the very same processes we're talking about at this table. Good governance, social accountability, citizen participation. So the majority of citizens who will be voters again and who will make the decisive votes, they actually may know a lot more than we suspect. So how do we bridge the gap?
Yeah. Just one experience that we have in Check My School. We have what we call the information intermediary. So we call them the infomediary. So what do we do? What they do is that they bridge technology to the communities or schools which doesn't have internet connection. Say for example, in the islands of Zamboanga or in the mountains of Benguet. So what they do is, so these are community volunteers. They're there, but the thing is, they have at least SMS or they have say for example access at least once a week to Facebook or social media. So what they do is they get information from the school, be it pictures or like just materials itself, or they can talk. Then they're the ones who's telling the story, uploading the pictures online. One example is this area in Pagadian City. It's Pagadian City, but it's like you have to kind of hike and cross the bridge, something like that. So there's this riprap in the. So there's a school and there's a riprap, which was there was an earthquake 2012. So there was a landslide. So so it's difficult to, because there's no signal in the area. So the volunteer had to go to the area and then she has to take pictures, then upload that online on Facebook. It's even a Facebook group because she doesn't want it to get live, in public. So that facilitate, okay, what happened here? So they said, the principal said they reported that already to the local government, but they were instructed, that was September, they were instructed to wait for summer. So
which is past already. It's
past, or they have to wait
again.
for the next summer because it's raining, so it's hard to like put the cements and whatever. So okay, so they said, okay, so what do we wait? We'll wait for the rocks to fall to the schools. So that that idea of having someone to post it and have like bring on the clamor, like, hey, you have to act on it like now. We posted it in social media. Then it was, hey, Senator Pia Cayetano responded, and then they were like, it was catched by Tulfo and the several media.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So like a lot, the volunteer was like, okay, wait, like everyone's like, hey, what's happening? And then everyone's like pushing, hey, you have to respond. Well, Well, there was like this kind of stress at that moment because we had to like, hey, we have to handle the situation. Like everyone's like, hey, you have to act on it. But at least that kind of the volunteers' presence and the effort to put on that information online through that volunteer.
Yeah.
So that's facilitated the repair of the riprap.
And it shows how even limited internet access once a week, still 52 times a year, and even if in a closed group, because it's not public, but still within that initial community there can be responses, or another member of that community can reach out to another stakeholder or resource, and as you told us, get something to happen in Pagadian.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I think this is on your point about
Mhm.
the elitism.
Yes.
Because we feel it. I mean, every time I post something about governance and nobody likes it, I'm affected. And then, so it's like, because social media is such a personal thing, and you can't
Yes.
force people what to like and what to think of.
You
So
really put yourself on the line
yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think just on that point, for example, for me, I think it's making the social media channels official, and like to really treat it as a serious feedback channel, and not just, oh, these are just people online. Like treat it as an official thing, so that for example, like if you guys had success stories because it was shared a lot, what if I'm someone, I have an equally valid problem, but I don't have an active social media network, so my case will never be escalated. So it just mimics whatever happens in real life. It's about who you know and how influential you are in your community. So in terms of inclusiveness and you know, really making everyone's voices heard, social media, I mean, it just mimics it and makes it bigger, and you know, I mean, you get Tulfo involved, you get all these other people involved, kagan, and then this person's just like, oh, I just said, you know, one thing, I just want results done. So I think making it official and getting all the stakeholders involved already from the start. So with us, for example, maybe it's to create, okay, I'll tell the LGU, this is our official feedback channel, and then whoever wants to, and everybody has equal access to that. And it won't be just because I make so much social media noise, or because my status was shared so many times, because that will create the divide again. Okay, so you just included now more people, you included some people online, but you didn't include everyone. So
Any other ways that you feel the limitations or even the negative aspects of social media can be mitigated?
Negative is sometimes it can serve as a distraction.
Aha, okay. Yes.
Really, it can be. Like
As a parent, I agree.
yeah. Say you're studying and you take a break. You can spend so much time you can waste so much time without even knowing it. You know, just looking through photos of what people are doing, or you know, things that people are posting, like food or like something.
Yes, we are not going to post on Instagram our donuts and
Yeah.
coffee today.
A lot of people like to post like food, clothes, even. Yeah, it's to each his own. But then,
True.
it can also be very distracting, and maybe for the younger generation specifically, people need to discipline them more.
Yes. As a parent, I also tell my kids, friend on Facebook is not the same as friend in real life. That you know face to face.
Yeah,
Your parents know
keep-
each other.
Keep your privacy private.
You share things on a real life basis. Not to devalue the friends on Facebook, but it's good also for us. I think it's also psychologically healthy for us to remember.
You have to
important
disconnect to
distinctions.
reconnect sometimes.
Hey, cool. Nice.
It's hard because people do go on their break, and that's, they're just looking to have a break. That's,
Yes.
that's what you do when, well, I guess a lot of people do when they're on social media. So they're really looking to just like wind down, but then, some of us are trying to use that to really activate, an entire group of people. So it's hard because your Facebook feed puts, your post about good governance, and then like followed up is like a really cool picture of a donut or something like that. You're like, oh, I like that donut. That looks really cool. And it puts it on the same platform and say like these are of equal importance, but giving action points for other people to do. So it's not just an update on yourself. It's activating the rest of the people, so they don't really have to think of it themselves. You're doing the work for them.
Yeah.